Welcome to all-night society. I've been living in my apartment for about a year now, and until recently, I thought I had a pretty normal life. I work a 9 to 5. I have a small group of friends, and I tend to keep to myself. But lately, things have taken a dark turn, and I can't shake this feeling that someone is watching me. It all started about 3 weeks ago. I had just gotten home from work, and I noticed a strange car parked across the street. It was an old, rusty sedan with tinted windows, something you'd expect to see in a horror movie rather than on my quiet street. At first, I brushed it off, thinking it was just someone waiting for a friend or maybe a delivery driver. But then I noticed it again the next day and the day after that. Each time, it would be parked in the same spot, and the moment I stepped outside, the engine would rumble to life before it slowly drove away. One night last week, I was in my living room binge-watching some true crime documentary when I caught movement outside my window. I didn't want to seem paranoid, but my heart raced as I peered through the blinds. The sedan was there, but now there was a figure standing next to it, a man wearing a dark hoodie, with the hood pulled up so I couldn't see his face. He just stood there, staring at my building. I swear it felt like his gaze was piercing right through the walls. I froze, unsure of what to do. I wanted to call the police, but what could I say? "Excuse me, officer. There's a man staring at my apartment." I didn't want to sound crazy. After that night, I started keeping my curtains drawn. I tried to ignore the feeling of being watched, but it clung to me like a shadow. I avoided going out at night, even for my usual grocery runs. I was becoming a bit of a recluse, and it was driving me insane. My friends would text, asking why I hadn't been answering calls or hanging out. I'd brush it off, saying I was busy with work, but the truth was that I was terrified. Things escalated when I began to notice signs of someone being around my apartment. My front door had been left ajar twice. Once I found it wide open when I returned home from work. I thought maybe I hadn't closed it properly in my rush to leave, but deep down, I knew I'd locked it. The second time, I was sure of it. I called the landlord, but he shrugged it off, telling me it was probably just the wind. "You know how these old buildings are," he said with a laugh. But I felt cold dread settle in my stomach. This past weekend was when everything changed. I was at home, trying to distract myself with a book when I heard a soft knock on my window. It was late, well past midnight. My heart dropped into my stomach, and my hands started to shake. I cautiously looked over, and there he was, the man from the sedan. He was standing right outside my window, his face still obscured by the hood, but I could see his eyes. Dark and hollow, they seemed almost vacant, like he was waiting for something to happen. I don't know what possessed me, but I grabbed my phone and snapped a picture. I know it was stupid, but I wanted proof. The moment the flash went off, the figure flinched and took a step back into the shadows. In a panic, I bolted to the door and locked it tighter than I ever had. I didn't sleep that night, terrified he'd come back. I called the police the next morning, but they couldn't do much without a solid lead or proof. I showed them the picture, but the officer just frowned at it. "We can't identify him from this," he said, looking at me like I was overreacting. "I don't know how much longer I can take this feeling of being hunted. The man hasn't been back since that night, but I can't shake the feeling that he's still out there, watching, waiting." Last night, I woke up to a loud noise outside my window, and I could swear I saw a shadow moving in the corner of my eye. I don't know what to do, and I'm terrified that, someday soon, he'll decide to come inside.